okay. I just want to remind you again that if you have any questions, please use chat box. If you don't have any other way of communicating with me, chat box, I just wanted to look at this one and describe. That is one. The other one is you just read all these documents following the links that I have given. That's another one. Third one, you have to go to internet and try to browse whatever that you need to know more about in detail, so that you will be competent enough to tell somebody the subject that you are dealing with, indigenous knowledge systems. Even I can remember this particular guy, Robert Chambers. He's a British academic and development practitioner who was in Sri Lanka in 1960s, attached to Hector Kobbakadu Agriculture Research and Training Institute as a consultant. And he wanted to change our minds from yield per acre or per hectare to yield per rupees, yield per labor, yield per unit of water, etc. Now we are using all these yield kind of ways of expressing, especially the most severe or scarce resources. If it is the case, water is the scarce resource, so we can say how many kilograms of grains per cubic meter of water. And also, you know that in Madagascar, they have the problem of seeds. So they wanted to count always that per seed, how many kilograms, per seed, how many seeds that they are getting, like that. So that is another kind of technology. We also had some time practicing this one in our fields. That's called SRI, System of Rice Intensification. So this Robert Chambers is a very unique character, and he says systems of knowledge are many. Among these, modern science is only one, though the most powerful and universal. Rural people's knowledge is, in contrast, situated, that means localized, different both by locality and by group and individual, and differing in its modes of experimenting and learning. So their way of doing experiments is something different from ours. Different people know different things in different places and learn new things in different ways. So this is the one that he has mentioned in 1994 when he is having the book written on Beyond Farmers First. Yes, I can remember like that. Yes. Okay, now sustainable land management. What do you mean by this sustainable land management? You have to manage the land, but it shouldn't be forever without deteriorating, right? Without deteriorating physically, without deteriorating chemically, and without deteriorating biologically. Especially if you can arrest land degradation in a place, we say that it is land management. If it is forever or if it is on sustainable basis, we call sustainable land management. Especially land degradation is caused by, that the soil erosion, overgrazing, loss of the fertile soil layer, deforestation, and changes in land use. So you have to find more explanative way of describing these overgrazing, soil erosion, loss of the fertile soil layer, deforestation, and changes in land use. Now, all these things are happening in Sri Lanka. You know that we are changing the land use, and we are losing our fertile soil. We are removing forest, and in some pasture lands, because of the continuous grazing, those are getting degraded. And also most well-known phenomenon is that soil erosion. It's a process. I think I have discussed this on land degradation and sustainable land management earlier also. I just want to remind you that why you wanted to say land degradation and sustainable land management, what we are really meaning of this with the ecosystem. Land degradation is the depletion of its physical, chemical, and biological productivity. It's not only physical. Then if you can maintain the long-term productivity of a land, we say sustainable land management. Sustainable land management is defined as use of land to meet human needs while ensuring long-term production potential and maintaining ecological functions. That's very important because not only its production potential, but also we should maintain the ecological functions. The land resource includes soil, water, flora, and fauna within that. So if you say soil, water, flora, and fauna, that means that land means the whole ecosystem in more practical way. That means land degradation is long-term depletion of the production potential and function of the ecosystem. Now we do agriculture. We know agro-ecosystem. If you can consider all these plantation sector, rain-fed agriculture, then paddy cultivation, everything, as an agro-ecosystem, that means it is sustainable. At the same time, it will reduce the harmful effect of greenhouse gas emission into atmosphere. Finally, sustainable land management is maintenance of the production potential and functions of the ecosystem. So what we have to do to take care of agro-ecosystem, that means we are doing good agriculture and sustainable agriculture. So we have to know something about indigenous knowledge. I think you have learned from Professor Anjivani also. This indigenous knowledge is unique to a given culture or society. It is not a generalized one. It is very specific. So they have developed techniques, practices, customs, traditions, and beliefs even in rural life. Not only on agriculture, healthcare, food preparation, education, natural resource management, social unity, etc. If you just probe into these village societies and culture, you will learn a lot and how they could be able to live in harmony with nature. Then there's an information base evolved during thousands of years. They have their information base. Only thing now it is getting deteriorated. We are losing that and we have the right to keep that on records. And also this is not stable. This is dynamic and changing, especially because of the climatic variations, because of land degradation, because of population increase. We have to change it. So what they did that, they did trial and error method. Whether it is successful, then they will get it. If it is a failure, they will ignore it. Then wealth of the community established over time. So it is their wealth, adapted to local culture and environment. So those are the few points if you talk about indigenous knowledge. I can show you some of these very common example of local knowledge. If you go to a particular land area, you will find in some places only grasses, no shrubs or something. Even you have some shrubs, your soil is sometimes exposed and white color, sandy, and you can see sometimes some plants like Atakea, Diul, that is wood apple, Kirie, Indi, Ikirie, Hambu pan, that's a reed, and Niluk are grown there. Once these people, traditional people, observe that these plants are somewhere in the land, they say that is salt affected soil. So that is our traditional one. Okay. Then here wood apple. This is Kirie. This is Indi. This is in the wild. Here you get Neeramulia or Ikiri. It's a medicinal herb. Then Hambu pan. That's a reed. And also you can have some kind of decorations by using this dried one. This is Iluk, Imperata cylindrica. And all these will show you that the land is salt affected. If I just tell you about indigenous knowledge further, indigenous knowledge has two powerful advantages over outside knowledge. We are going to compare it. One is it has little or no cost and is readily available. So what are the inputs that we are using? Those are free of charge, and all these are available in the environment. That is one. The second one is indigenous knowledge systems and technologies are found to be socially desirable, economically affordable, sustainable, and involve minimum risk to rural farmers and producers. So you have to know why it is socially desirable, because we don't have any kind of harmful effects to the society. Economically affordable, no need to invest a lot of money. Sustainable, it will be a long time productive agriculture. Involve minimum risk or risk to rural farmers and producers. So it's having minimum risk, because now after this green revolution, you are sometime not sure that whether it's getting without any pest, without any water, and so on. Above all, they are widely believed to conserve resources. That is the most important one, because now if you go to zoological garden at Dekpala, you will see a lot of animals, birds, fish species, so many things. But they are trapped in the cages, not you, right? Like that, now you are trapped. You can't go to the environment because you are not loving this environment so much, so that you are an external human and the whole environment is something else. But in the early thinking is that human is one of the component in the environment. So there are situations in which modern science is not appropriate, and use of simpler technologies and procedures are required. Some examples I can tell you, just for the argument. Use of machinery for harvesting was high grain losses, 25 to 30%. If you go to Ampara and Betikalu, they will do harvesting using machines, but after some time, after 2-3 weeks, when it rains, it's like again the paddy field because of the all seeds are germinated. Rice. Then tractor ploughing caused breaking of the hard pan. That is also another one issue. When you use this tractor, modern tractor, it will pierce the soil 10 to 12 inches. But in local Nagula, local plow, it will pierce only 4 to 6 inches. You know that rice does not need such kind of soil depth. Only it can spread their roots within 4 to 6 inches. After that, we have hard pan. Hard pan is impeding water movement along with nutrients. And also, if you break it, the weed taproot can go deeper and deeper and it can get established so that it will compete with the crop. Insecticides. That is the solution for the pest problem. But you know that insecticides is not a selective way of killing insects. So all these insects, pest predators, neutral insects, all these are killed by insecticides. So this indigenous knowledge provides basis for problem-solving strategies for local communities, especially the poor. I just want to tell you that indigenous knowledge does not confine to Sri Lanka. In many countries which has a long-term history of agriculture, they have their own indigenous knowledge, specific to that locality, specific to that particular society. So indigenous knowledge has always placed human being within the context of total environment. That's what I explained you, taking the example of zoological garden. As such, it pays attention to all living things, including plants, animals, water, soil, and other natural resources. These ancient people, they loved plants, they loved animals, they loved water, soil, and other resources conservation, so that they are not harming the environment, like what we are doing now. It tries to achieve human well-being without jeopardizing the environment totality. For example, people are not permitted to destroy woods haphazardly, although clearing jungles is needed for cultivation is allowed. But they cannot go on removing all these forests. There's a jungle law to which people should obey. Forest cannot be burned without following certain rituals. So they have their own rituals. And sometimes you may find it in some documents. They have some kind of versions to chase all these creatures before they set fire. Indigenous agriculture, it is something different from our agriculture, modern agriculture. Modern agriculture as well as indigenous agriculture, they have biophysical process. Bio means they have plants in the crop. Physical process means we supply water and other inputs, so that it's a biophysical process. This is all over the world. But indigenous agriculture, not only biophysical process, it has some kind of component, a dimension, socio-cultural dimension, so that people are getting together as a team and do agriculture. People are doing a lot of rituals. People enjoy this, and people sometimes pray, people believe something. All these are social matters. And the rituals they follow, that is called culture. And also sometimes they cannot control this, they cannot control any kind of disasters coming from unseen uh, means, so that they wanted to believe some kind of cosmos spiritual powers. And this cosmos spiritual powers, they don't know from where it is coming, but they have the belief, they have the faith on that, and sometimes they say that it's successful, right? Indigenous agriculture principles. Risks farming due to factors such as rainfall, drought, pests, and diseases. Damages from wild animals were reduced through adoption of auspicious times, real time for that, and spiritual powers, unseen powers, superficial powers in farming operations, timely cultivation, crop management, etc. I just want to tell you what is timely cultivation. Now we have a lot of recommendations on time of cultivation. Say 15th of January, and sometimes say 15th, no, mid March, yes, mid March for gingerly cultivation. So they don't believe on this kind of time of cultivation. They say timely cultivation. So what is the time? They are observing a lot of things and decide this is the time for cultivation. For example, I will tell you that now this is September, no, October. Last month, September, mid-September, we used to get one isolated rains. So they observe this rains, the amount of rainfalls. If they get a lot of rains in mid-September, they suspect that their Maha-season rainfalls are very low. If they get very low rainfall in mid-season, mid-September, they are happy to see that they can do all cultivation because they are getting a lot of rainfalls. And they go for rain-fed cultivation there. They go for paddy cultivation. Everything is there. If they believe that they can't get good rainfall during Maha season because of the high rainfalls in mid-September, what they do, they confine their agriculture or cultivation to a particular small piece of land. Sometimes they use, dry sowing, sometimes betna. Like that, they have some way of handling this particular low rainfall season. So maintenance of favorable environment for crop growth. This is important even for Western type of agriculture. We have to make a good environment. If you have a good microclimate, you are not worried about this pest. You are not worried about this drying up soil. You are not worried about these diseases. So that it's a favorable environment. Now, this particular uh, indigenous agriculture is having to create favorable environment for crop growth. For example, in China, they use mixed type of cropping so that each will take care of the other. Maintenance of the land productivity by adjusting the farming practices with least disturbance to soil and addition of organic biomass. So this is the focus today of today's lecture. Independence of farming from external inputs and influence of outside technologies. So they are not worried about what is happening in the outside and what you want from the outside. They don't want. They have to rely on the environment, and environment will provide everything. Adoption of diverse crop combinations in agriculture to cope up with the variation of climate, soil, and other biotic as well as abiotic stressors, right? So they are using crop combinations, mixed cropping, rotational cropping, etc. Then farm implements. They use farm implements with lesser energy consumption. They don't want to use this uh, machinery for doing their job in the agriculture. They use animals. They use simple implements, and finally, they will not disturb the resource. Making use of natural processes too. Minimal use of inputs in cultivation. Introducing and maintaining crop diversity, that is the one that we have discussed. And also to minimize pest attack. Planting me, that is Maduka longifolia, to attract bats to improve fertility, etc. So they use to plant these large trees without talking about any kind of shading effect, but they do. Even we can see now, even in paddy tracts, there are few Manduka longifolia trees. That is the habitat for bats, right? You know, bat can live for about 32 years. And surprisingly, bat can eat, bat can consume insects, 600 insects within one night. So that no need to have any kind of pest control if you have the bat in your field. Then tank water. This is our rural system. It's an ecosystem. It has a lot of other ecosystems too. Paddy ecosystem, then Tismambe ecosystem, land ecosystem. So many ecosystems. Just upstream ecosystem, Chena ecosystem, all these are ecosystems. And you know that this water, they have considered at crystal clear water, and they wanted to keep that as a pious resource, so that they wanted to protect, they want to prevent any kind of sedimentation, pollution, etc. They have this upstream water hole to trap all sediments, Perahan to filter here, meadow, grassland, filter the sedimented flow. Then Gaskommana here, that's a tree belt. Isset here, that's man-made ridge. So all these will prevent sediment coming into this. And also, you have to remember that these trees, Gaskommana here, Gaskommana, and it's with very large trees which will reduce the advection effect to water, and water will be conserved. So that warm air will not come to touch the surface of water. So tank water is protected from sediment inflow and high evaporation. That is what we say. And tank water resource, no pollution at that time, no sedimentation at that time. And also people used to drink water, and it's a good storage without losing much. Up to 1950s, all these farmers, traditional farmers, use tank water for drinking purpose because it's pure. Waste recycling, keeping the paddy field free of salinity. Now, you can see downstream part, you have a reservation here. sandwich between tank and the paddy field. That's called kattakadu. Then there's a shrubland here. They are using for scientific purpose. It's called land. Then to drain off all this salt water coming from tank and collecting here in the paddy field will be washed away through QLL. And also there's another one here. This Bombay, it's a biobarrier for the settlement area. This is Gangoda. This Bombay acts as a buffer to protect people from wild animals and also protect people from malaria. And you can read all these in detail in those documents. So paddy field soil resource, no salinity, good fertility and high productivity. If you go to this rural tank now and see the paddy tract, you will see that it is starting from some kind of burned rice plants because of the salinity. And the product is getting low and low. And now, as you are sometime dealing with livestock also, in livestock, the modern concept is agro-silvopastoral system. So they are trying to integrate agriculture and livestock. But this is not a new concept for these rural farmers. They have a free roaming model. That is the traditional ecosystem. If you just go through what they do, one is that Gaskomman and Thaul, free roaming area. So there are a lot of grasses there. Then here you get chaina lands. Once they keep that left fallow so that this buffalo and cattle can graze the land. And also this Bombay free roaming, they can go here and there and get all this feed. And not only that, you will get Landa area. They have a lot of food here. And the paddy lands also we are keeping fallow for some time, and it will regenerate the soil fertility at the same time. It is good area for grazing. And when they do grazing, so the paddy area will collect cow dung, at the same time cow urine, so that this particular system is getting fertile automatically. Objectives of traditional soil management. Objective of traditional soil management was to increase physical, chemical, and biological fertility of soil. That is what I told you at the beginning. One is tillage. Objective is to obtain weed-free smooth soil surface for germination and initial growth. So they are particular about this soil bed by using very shallow tillage operations. This first tillage is taking place under water, mixing all weeds and incorporating green leaves he added. After about 2 weeks, he plows again and prepare the land syrupy enough for sowing. The traditional farmer uses beetle spit to test the soil condition for sowing. What they are doing here, now they collect a lot of green manure getting from the field as well as from the outside, and they put it there and mix it with the soil and keep it for 2 weeks, right? Now we are not doing it. Why they want to keep 2 weeks? Because these microbial activities, these microbes absorb all nitrogen from this system and keep that, so that soil is not soil is deficient in nitrogen. If you put your rice plant there, it will become yellow. So that they will have to wait for 2 weeks. Why they wanted to wait for 2 weeks? Because during that time, microbes will consume all these nitrogen sources and finally they will die and it will be added to the soil. Now soil is fertile. That is the time for their sowing. And how you sow this, now how these farmers take the real condition for the soil to sow this, broadcast these seeds. Because if you get the seeds, if you get not the syrupy, the thick, very thick layer, then seed will not go into that and it will be on the surface so that birds can catch it very easily. If you have very watery, muddy area, then what will happen? The seeds will penetrate into the deep part so that it will not germinate. So they want to get a good condition of this soil. So what they do, they try to test it, whether it is okay for sowing. So man comes with the seed bucket and he spit, beetle spit, and once it is moving deep, that means it's not good for sowing. If it does not spread, it's not good for sowing. Once he spits and if we observe that it is slowly spreading, that is the condition. So that they are using that techniques. In rural societies, they use this. Why I wanted to tell you all this, that some lessons can be adapted from these practices. This is traditional plough. This is Nagula and Porua. This is Porua. This is Nagula. Now, if you look at this Nagula, this hard pan will be here about 4 to 6 inches deep. Rice root system is within 6 inches, it will be comfortable and more active. Water is not percolated due to hard pan because when they plow, they are going to have a hard pan here formed due to buffalo and also this nagula and also human feet. Then nutrient is not lost from the root zone because of the hard pan. Then weeds with taproots are not comfortable because they cannot pierce into deeper soil layers because of the hard pan. So hard pan is important. What we do now? Now if you take this one, this is a peg here, then balancing log here, this is a trailer and handle is here and the blade is there. So this is the whole technology here. You know what's happening here. They plow this part, keeping that hard pan here, clay hard pan. So it does not penetrate hard pan. Rice soil is here. So that you can see here, the whole root system is confined into this part. So that the rice crop is more comfortable living. Farmer is competent to operate the plow without piercing the hard pan with the shape of plow handle. Now they can operate it with a very, very mild force. They can operate it. Second one is soil conservation. How they conserve soil. Now in paddy fields, you must have seen a lot of these dikes. We call liad and we call these dikes with near or the bund, plot bund. And these dikes, they will clean these dikes and prevent weed germination. On individual farms, cultural practices and agronomic practices are adapted to conserve soil. So you know that soil erosion may not be taking place here because of this bunded plots. Mostly emphasis is on reducing erosion in channels and streams, tank bunds, and on reducing sedimentation of reservoirs. So they know they are very competent enough to keep that water without percolating, keep that water without erosion. Liad, that is the field plot of terraced land. We have terraced land everywhere. Soil erosion control is achieved by terracing the land, especially in the rice cultivation. Right? Now, there's another one. Here you can see paddy lands. We are using rainfall to supply water. Okay? We are using tank water storage to supply water to the paddy field. And also, we have another facility there because of the water table. If you have a good storage of tanks in the upstream, it will influence the maintenance of the water table down below. So if that water table is within 50 centimeter because of low humic clay soils, the capillary fringe will take this water and get a saturation zone. When you have saturation zone here, paddy will grow without shortage of water, and paddy does not need any irrigation from tanks or even rainfall. So in the absence of rainfall, they want to keep that water because they want to maintain the water table with the influence of tank water there. You see the vision of these people. Gulbami, stone buns, and Nithikan, leader trails. So in these steep slopey lands, now we are doing plantation, even though without that one earlier it was cropped with this all plantation crops now we say that a lot of permanent orchard. We have a lot of crops there, and they just want to reduce soil erosion by using stone buns. Here you can have these stone buns there, and this is a new one. We have plastered the bund. At the same time, they have this step type drain so that it will not score and erode the side banks, so that we have steps here. So this is a traditional way of conserving soil. Stone ridges and leader trails. They have used a lot of plant sources as green manure. You know, sometimes this is very common one. Gansuria, that is Thespecia populnea. You can identify them. You can recognize this, these two colors of flowers. Then this is Erebadu. You can see the flowers in your New Year time. Erythrina variegata. So this is also, these are green manures. Once you lop it and put it there on the soil, it will decompose and add nutrients to the soil. Here, have you seen this particular plant in sometime in riverside or in tanks, in drains? You will find this one. This is patabelly. This is a hibiscus plant. And karanda, you can see that is very common there on the tank bund. You can see a lot of karanda trees or any tank bund. And also in drainage, common drainage, you can see karanda. So these are green manures. Then there's another one, Nattasuriya. Some farmers are reluctant to use Nattasuriya because it is scratching the skin. But it is a very good source of nutrients, especially nitrogen. Then Cohomba, Acidica indica, Magosa, that can be utilized as a green manure. At the same time, it will control the soil pest. And there are some other dimensions here, social aspect of soil management practices. So one is that they are doing all these as a team. Working together. And also sharing. Sharing. Grow and share and grow. That is another kind of attitude they have. Grow and share. That means Ada bedageni. Grow and share. Share and grow means beda hadageni. So when they go to China, they do share the land and grow. When they go to Gangoda, the hamlet, they grow. For example, they grow jackfruit. Once they get one matured nut, they will share it. And there are some other things like Betma. Betma means dividing into different parcels. It is a practice that temporarily redistributes plots of land among shareholders because sometimes their tank water is not enough to grow the entire land, entire paddy land. So they will select a part of command area during a drought period. That is one, Betma. That is a strategy. Then there's another one, Pangu. Pangu is that sometimes they can forecast weather. Sometimes we may have some time to explain. Otherwise, you can refer my documents. Traditional forecasting methods. Then Pangu means they will observe the whole climate, vegetation, and the behavior of animals and say that is in September. Then October, November, December, January, and February, whether they are getting a very good rain or not. If they believe that they don't get much rains, then they will go for Betma cultivation, Caculum, and all these. But if they find that very excessive rains, it will lead to flood. Sometimes it will lead to breach the tank. So they must be ready for that. And tank had to be maintained properly to avoid breach, leak, and excess seepage. Repair and desiltation of tanks and cleaning of canals during dry period are shared tasks. They call different pangu, that is portions. So I will get a pangu, you will get a pangu, and we will do repairs on that particular area. And there are a lot of village commons. You know that in the village, you have Tisbambe, it's a common. Shrubland, it's a common. And Kiulala, it's a common. Kattakadu, it's a common. And even Gaskommana, it's a common. So there are commons. These commons do not, as it's common, no any ownership. So that anyone can do anything in these micro landscapes, but there are rules and regulations to utilize without harming. Micro landscapes are utilized to reduce tank water losses, mitigate salinity effects, prevent tank sedimentation, and so on. Now you know what is happening there in the field. They have these reservations, Kattakadu. Farmers used to encourage that to the Banto. They have a reservation of fuel, they fill it and do cultivation. So what will happen? The whole paddy tract will get salt effect. Social cohesion, they are sharing. Now here, Beda Hadagen, divide and share. So here they divide like this. This is the summit. So put this central pole here, and they will take similar portions like this. And this belongs to one who can take care of all these. Even the fence here, And also you know that this will consist of drainage classes: well drained, moderate well drained, imperfectly drained, and poorly drained. And also you know that the crop can be selected according to the drainage class. So all these people can use all these crops according to the drainage class, because every farmer has the access to all these kind of drainage classes. So that is called land sharing. So they will maintain social cohesion by using this kind of sharing. So this is called mulkata hena. This is mulkata. And this one is that the Danduata, they have to put here, like that. So similar portion for the same length to a particular farmer, and he has to do this part of fence here. Then there's another one that is called Iraveli Hena. Iraveli Hena is if you have a domy kind of things, then the mulkata Hena. If you have a line of ridge, this is the ridge line. So they can do like this. Similar distance here for each and every farmer, and it will go onto the bottom. So they will use here well drain, moderate well drain, imperfect drain, poorly drain, so that each and every farmer is getting fair amount of lands for different crops. So this is called fishbone structure, like here, and there. The attachment. Everyone is having some kind of attachment with properties, with resources, with people, attachment. But this particular rural society is adapting kind of leaving out. So they don't want to keep everything together to my pocket without giving the other. So for example, even Chena cultivation, lands after cultivation are left out for years. Reason behind is to rejuvenate the land productivity. So they are not greedy enough to do it continuously within all these seasons on the same land. Then Kurulupalu. Kurulupalu is another strip of land, paddy lands. They will, when they start sowing, if there's anything left in the basket, they will spread it on this particular strip, Kurulupalu. And they believe that it will be attracted by birds. You know the strategies that when bird comes to this place, they use this rice seeds, but the right seeds are not the right seeds that they attract. When they see that worms, pest, those are more attractive than rice seeds. So they will go and control the pest. And also, if you learn about tank cascade systems, you have different types of tanks. We have Pulwev, that is forest tanks, wild tanks. Then Kayam Wev, just to collect debris. Then Olagam Wev, that is without the village. And sometimes you may find tanks without sluices, stock tanks, that is called Bisovev or Basovev. And also there are tanks just in the upstream. It's a very small one we call Godavala to trap sediment. So there are different types of ponds and tanks are there in the cascade systems. The other knowledge that they have different types of chena based on the age of that particular one after removing the forest. Selection of crop and soil fertility level. Now, when you remove the vegetation in a particular land, it will be burned later and it will add a lot of fertile nutrients to the soil. So that the most fertile one, just after setting fire to a big biomass from matured forest, that is called Navadalihena. So in Navadalihena, generally it's very fertile and they will use it for mustard, legumes, and vegetables. Then there are some other types of Chena lands because when they have left out Chena after doing cultivation continuously and left out for about 10-15 years, it will grow again. So it will grow with some kind of big trees, but it's very young trees we call Addanduav. After burning the second vegetation, fertile legumes, vegetables, and coarse grains can be grown. You can see that now mustard and legumes, now it is not that much fertile, so they don't want to grow mustard. Then Lando Hirilanda, that is the less fertile land, moderately fertile, coarse grains and sesame they can grow, so they will not do any kind of vegetable or legumes. They will confine their cultivation to grains and sesame, and also more less fertile, low fertile lands, Kanatu and Piti. So they just abandon land abandoned due to low fertility, less fertile. But still, if they have any kind of limitation of the land during Yala season, they use this land for sesame cultivation and earlier manure cultivation. Now it's not taking place at present. Then there's another one. You know that when you have lands just above the paddy tract, that is imperfectly drained soil, moist land, water table is just close to surface for many months of the year. So this is good for paddy land, paddy fields. Paddy and vegetables can be cultivated in this Godavi area. Then Chena cultivation, how they conserve soil, sharing land based on productivity, that's what we discussed, burning the vegetation to obtain high biomass, ash and debris. So when you have ash here, like what you see here, the soil erosion will be minimized because it will be, raindrops will be absorbed to the ash layer. And also they do mixed cropping, different canopies, different root systems, different pest attack, and different crop yields, right? So that mixed cropping is another new one we are going to introduce, but it is the oldest one in the traditional agriculture. Then paddy cultivation, shallow tillage, not to disturb the hard pan. So it will conserve water and nutrient, otherwise it will percolate down. Then drainage. Drainage, it will dispose polluted water because of the drainage. We call QLL. Maintenance of rice weed ratio for pest management, small plots. So, can somebody tell me why they are satisfied with these small plots? In Mahaveli area, you will see that very large plots. But here, they do small plots. What is the reason? The reason, as far as I understand, here you get lot of near plot bunds, where you get lot of weeds and the habitat for predators. So predators will do their responsibility to control pest in the paddy field. So it is why they wanted to have these small bunds. Otherwise, they could be able to enlarge it. Then varietal selection. So they are worried about the season. If it is short season, they will go for short duration price crops. Then they wanted to do medicinal value crops for some seasons. Then the problem of waterlogging is there, so that they want to have some dwarf varieties. And also there are varieties to solve the problem of salinity. For example, if I say, what is that? Nona Bokra in northern part, and something else in the Beticolo, I can't remember now. There are salt tolerant varieties. Then when they do irrigation, it goes top down field to field irrigation. It's not that they will irrigate the down lower part and fill it and fill it and fill it. But when they do that, it will get the upper layer is having a very good opportunity for percolating water. So no need to stagnate water there. So it will get real amount of water. So this field to field irrigation, top down way of doing irrigation. That is the traditional one. I think you can see the importance of practicing such a way of irrigation. Field drainage. to prevent soil salinity development. Now they are providing drainage here. You see, these are drainage. And you can see there is drainage here, right? So that will wash away all these particular salts from the liado plots. And also, there's a common drain. Now, this is one of these tank here, and the paddy field there. You can see some salt-affected lands are there, right? So, in a project, what we have done, we wanted to evade this one, remove these salts by using a common drain that is called Q ladder. They were reluctant at the beginning to dig this one because they are losing their paddy fields. But it is not true because they have encroached their paddy lands in this Q ladder or the drainage. So that you can see that all these are polluted salts coming into the drainage. And also, you can see that this is Kattakadu area, just down below the tank bund. And if there is any excess water, it will be drained through Kivulala. So whatever that the Yaturuwala here collecting salt water, when they have lot of rainfalls and lot of water here, it will spill it and follow this path. And it will go to the next tank and next tank and next tank. So, and we found that although people are reluctant to adopt this fuel opened up, after we have explained them, they wanted to have it like this. And also we plan to plant arecanut either side of the pond. And also we wanted to have Greasedia here to get green manure so that it is beneficial. And also they will get additional income from this arecanut. So when you do kind of implementation, you should be able to convince farmers the not only importance but also the benefit that they are getting. This traditional soil fertility management. Now we have here commons. Traditional agriculture had never depended on external fertilizer sources, even with compost, because they have not practiced composting. They have collected green manure and put it in the soil. So natural composting process is taking place. They left land fallow after harvest, paddy lands, sena, both, for soil rejuvenation. Allowed weeds to decompose. As I told you, it will take about 2 weeks. That is why they wanted to wait for 2 weeks and so. Applied green manure collected from surrounding and encourage washing in waste from Gangoda, Tisbambe, Kattakadu and Gavagala. So we have here, yes, we have here hamlet and there are some cattle sheds here. And here Tisbambe, that is the century place for women and kids. And here the central place for men, so that all these things will be washed into these paddy fields. Now you can understand they don't want to have any kind of permanent canals. Those are not permanent canals. Now we are trying to construct permanent canals and it is dividing the paddy tract and these commons. So that now the paddy field is not getting these nutrients from these parts. Now, fallow periods. We are keeping fallow for some time before they start the the next season cultivation. Fallow periods add nutrients to the soil. If farmers cultivate only during one season, paddy field is left fallow over 8 months because they are not doing any cultivation during the other season. If they cultivate 2 seasons, still the field is left fallow for about 5 months. So fallow period is there, and that particular period, we will get a lot of kind of weeds, and it will add to soil later when we are going to start cultivation. In addition, some parts of the paddy fields are left fallow for years due to various reasons such as water shortage, lack of seeds, labor shortage. Sometimes people are unable to cultivate the whole land and keep some portion of the land fallow. And this fallow land, this fallowing will support to rejuvenate the fertility of the soil. During the fallow period, farmers encourage the growth of legumes, weeds like petitora, then nidikumba, and pillar. I will show you pictures. Sometimes you may not be familiar with those. Besides, during the fallow period, buffaloes and cattle are allowed to graze. Here buffaloes, here cattle, right? Hence, a large volume of dung and urine is accumulated on the paddy field. So no need to have any kind of external inputs as fertilizer. The long fallow period also permit the remaining paddy residues and other vegetative matter to decay, adding organic matter to the paddy soil. So it will add organic matter because of the decomposition. This is petitora. It's a vegetable. This is pila. It's a medicinal herb. This is nidikumba. You know nidikumba. And there are some traditional way of doing plant perennial trees on their paddy field. As I discussed, this is a meat tree, Maduka longifolia. They planted 4 to 5 trees per acre. Even today, sparsely grown trees are major characteristics of paddy fields in traditional villages. Even now, at present, they don't want to remove these big trees. One purpose of planting trees on paddy fields was to provide shade during relaxation and during meals. If they are so exhausted, they will go under tree and get some kind of rest. Women used to keep their children under these trees when they worked in paddy fields. These trees also contributed to the fertility of paddy fields. The best example is meat tree, Maduka longifolia. Even today, the meat tree is a common sight in old paddy fields. They have realized the importance of that. It is interesting to note that fruits of the mee are eaten by fruit bats. They assemble on meat trees when fruits are ripe, and their nitrogen-rich droppings are an important source of fertilizer. The country Chile, they are exporting. That is the main export, the bad dung, because people are really waiting to get this fertilizer resource. The leaves of these trees are also rich in nitrogen, so that accumulation of leaves on the paddy fields further increases the fertility of soil. And also, under this sun, bat sometimes drops some seeds. And this is a very moist, shade-loving area so that these seeds can germinate. So people used to take these plants to plant somewhere else. So this is kind of nursery. Nursery is maintained by bats. Then irrigation water. Irrigation water sometimes is coming from forest with nutrients and store temporary in the tank. And once you get this irrigation water, it will contain large quantities of potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and silicon. So that this particular water, once irrigated, soil will enrich with all these nutrients. Some of the salt carried by the forest runoff was carried directly to the paddy tract, while the rest was deposited at the bottom of the tank. Once in several years, farmers used to remove the tank sill and added it to the paddy tract. Right? I think you know about this tank geometry. Madakalu, that is dead storage, then deep phase, that is Diagilma, then shallow phase, that is Bautaul, then spill water, temporary inundated area, that is Juan Gilma. So there is a very good geometry. The problem is now when soil erosion is taking place, sedimentation is taking place, then the tank is filled with muds and it distorts the whole geometry. Furthermore, during the periods when the tank dried up, the mud sluice, the sluice in the lowest location known as Madasorovar, directed a lot of silt to the paddy field. And also, you know, there's another one. When you get a dried tank, except Madakalu, which is the lowest one, which will be the place for all fish species after during this drought period, right? Then these farmers can catch these fish by removing all this water, muddy water, through the mud sluice, so that it will go to paddy field and get the fertility there in the paddy field. It's also said that the traditional farmers used to utilize the nitrogen from the rainwater. That's another strange thing. Now, when you take atmosphere, you will get a lot of nitrogen there in the atmosphere, right? And when they have this thundering, lightning from one cloud to the other, it will make some kind of nitrate or nitrous oxide or nitrate into the cloud. Once it condenses and finally dissolve as rains, these rains will come with nitrogen. So that is, they believe that the first rains, Akpasa, that will take in end of September, contain nitrogen. Therefore, in order to gain the advantage of the nitrogen in the first rains, they used to sow the paddy before the first rains. That means in mid-September, they cultivate some paddy lands. Green manure in an animal waste. Green manures have been added to the soil fields for many years. Some of the common species, Capetia, Pilla, Panithora, Telcacuna, and Cohomba. So they can lop these trees, get all these bushes, lopins, and spread in the soil, paddy soil. Traditional paddy cultivars had long stem. So in the past, there was much more straw to return to the field than today with short stem cultivars. We had long stem cultivars and it can compete weeds. Since almost all farmers had their own cattle and buffaloes, there was ample supply of meadow because it's a grazing land after fallowing. Farmers allow them to graze the paddy fields. However, no evidence exists to prove any direct application of manure to the paddy field. But waste accumulated on the uplands around the paddy tract were washed away to the paddy tract, enhancing its fertility. Waste washed into paddy fields from Landa, Tispabe, Gangoda, we have discussed this, Kala, cattle shed, contributes to enhance the fertility of paddy fields. So they don't want to take any kind of fertilizer from outside because it by itself will get rejuvenated with good fertile sources like nutrients from these green manures. This is Capitia, enriched with nitrogen. Pila here, Telkakuna here, Panitora here, Kohomba here. I will share this all with you so that you can identify when you go out. You can identify this species. There's another thing. Sometimes you may not know. Earlier we had, have you heard of Velmalu? We have Velmalu. But Velmalu means they are catching these fish in the paddy tank. It has been traditional among the paddy farmers to keep paddy fields flooded during the early stage of growing season to eradicate weeds. So they want to get the paddy field inundated. You know what will happen when you get paddy field inundated? Excess water will be drained to the lower tank, and fish in the lower tank will swim up and be trapped in this liad paddy. So those fish called Raumalu. This practice in turn encouraged the breeding of fish in paddy fields, providing valuable protein at a little additional cost. At the same time, the waste that the fish will issue is the nutrient source to paddy fields. Shit. Fish colonized the paddy fields at the beginning of the rainy season, then got trapped in the pools when the water began to recede at the onset of the harvest. Fish were caught by bailing water out of pools. So that is what they do. Some species which survive in the paddy fields become adapted to the drought conditions. For instance, the air-breathing fish such as Kawaya, Lula, Madakanea, Magura, and Hunga. This is a very good time for you to visit the tank bed. I don't think that the rain will disturb that tank bed still. Tank bed is cracked. I have some photographs also. If you go to that place, carefully observe these cracks. There are fish species in these cracks, especially this kawaya. I will show you the picture. Fish that lived in the flooded paddy fields benefited the paddy crop in various ways, while the carnivorous species helped to control harmful insects and worms. That is a pest controlling method. The herbivorous species consumed algae and weeds, leaving more space and nutrients for paddy. Furthermore, they improved soil aeration and increased the rate of mineralization by disturbing the bottom and provided fertilizer through release of excrement, that is shit. All contributed to increasing the productivity of paddy fields. It has been shown that fish in flooded paddy fields increase the paddy harvest by as much as 15%. So you may be remembered, even you may be asked to answer some questions like how we can earlier our ancestors improve the soil fertility in these paddy fields by using aquaculture, many other than what we have discussed, like green manure adding, right? Then water coming from watershed, lot of nutrients, and even from rainfalls. So that please get ready to answer such questions during this exam. You can see here kawaya, very tough, very hard fish. It can survive dry periods more than 1 month. Then lula, then unga. There are some other fish species too. Eco-friendly practices we have in Chena lands, mixed crop in minimum tillage, fencing activities at auspicious moments. So they believe these all. Crop protection like cultivation of a small portion of land to attract birds for pests, that is kurlupalu, use of plants or plant extracts. They use biopesticides also. And also they use auspicious times, then rituals. This is the astrologer who is reading this all by using polar palms. But the problem is now these are getting lost because sometimes it confines to rural communities. No any other urban scientist even collect this knowledge. Scattered and not well documented, does not reach the development personnel. Modern society does not place much faith on IK. IK is another rural one. We don't want to believe them like that. Modern education and technology claims it to be non-scientific. So I don't know when we are going to have those kind of knowledge into our school children's book series. What we have to do is to raise the awareness, then validate and evaluate, and mainstream it. Because, these people can explain, you can adapt it. Even school children should be made aware. Then this technology should be transferred and it should be modified according to the present situation. And also we have to strengthen the institutional aspect of these rural people like CBOs and some other committees. Then they have to be provided with all facilities. So those are the things that we can do to keep our most important unique knowledge specific to Sri Lanka. And also we have to think about policy and legal frameworks for incorporating traditional knowledge practices in place. In some universities, they have started to establish some centers, but it is not working now. Collection and compilation of traditional indigenous knowledge scattered in the country. I will request you to select a topic from indigenous knowledge to complete your thesis for MSc. And it's good service to the country also. Research in traditional knowledge programs that can be implemented. Capacity building of stakeholders using existing traditional knowledge. Institutional mechanism for incorporating or mainstreaming traditional knowledge. So these are some of the strategies that can take place in future. And also you must be able to join in some kind of venture that we are having in relation to indigenous knowledge systems.